Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back at Zuera. It's just about high noon, just in fact a moment's past it, and we shall be going forward to the first of our pre-finals, which is the KF Junior pre-final. It's a 9-lap race, and of course this doesn't score championship points, but it does determine where you start the final later on this afternoon, and that indeed does determine championship points. Well, Devlin De Francesco leads this championship at this moment with 35 points from Enam Ahmed with 31 and Logan Sargent third with 28 points. You're going to see all of those this afternoon. They're all racing. We've got a 9-lap pre-final for these juniors, and Anton Hager of Sweden will be starting this one on pole position. Joining him on the front row is Devlin De Francesco of the United States. It's another American on row 2, Logan Sargent. He's alongside David Beckman of Germany. Row 3, Benjamin Lessin of Belgium and Artem Petrov of Russia. Row 4, another Russian, Alexander Vartanyan and Mick Jr. from Germany. And the top 10 is completed on row 5 by Daniel Ticktum of the United Kingdom and Ulysse Depot of Belgium. First of our lady drivers, Marta Garcia Lopez of Spain. She's on row 6 with Lorenzo Travisanuto of Italy. Row 7, Juan Carrillo, the third United States driver in the field. He's originally from Ecuador, now racing on an American license. He's alongside James Pull from Singapore on row 7. It's an all-Scandinavian row 8 with Christian Lundgaard of Denmark and Rasmus Lind of Sweden. Row 9, Joshua Smith of Great Britain and Leonardo Lorandi of Italy. And the top 20 is completed on row 10 by Sebastian Fernandez from Venezuela, South America, and Presley Martono from Indonesia in Asia. Outside of the top 20, Ross Martin from Scotland is on row 11 with Max Futrell from the United Kingdom, racing on a British licence, originally from Singapore. Championship leader coming into this event, winner of round 1 at La Conca, Enam Ahmed, starts on row 12 alongside Paavo Tanteri of Finland. Row 13, Joan Azedo Sousa of Portugal and Eliseo Martinez Marono of Spain. Row 14, Cami Marrera Liliberte of Canada, and another of the lady drivers, Sophia Flörsch of Germany, on row 14. Kush Maini of India and Rokas Baciuska of Lithuania came through the last chance race this morning. They complete the top 30 on row 15. Row 16 sees Konsta Lapalainen of Finland and Kasper Rosanderson of Denmark. And our grid is completed by Tom Leurier of France and Kenny Rosens of Belgium. And as I look over to the screen now, as you can see as well, the carts have been released from the holding area. We only have one formation lap here at Zuera. It's a very long lap, 1 mile long, 1700 metres, and confirmation of that starting grid that I just read to you, with Anton Hager of Sweden on pole position, joined on the front row by Devlin De Francesco. Looking down to the top 20, those guys representing South America and Asia on the bottom line, and there is India represented by cart number 29, Kush Maini, and have to say it's a really worldwide event this, because we have drivers from 114 drivers from 31 countries and 5 continents. Well, the driver that you see to your extreme left in that orangey type of race suit is Anton Hager, your pole position man. Didn't lose a race yesterday in the whole of the qualifying heats. Alongside him in a not dissimilar livery on the cart is Devlin De Francesco, but of course Anton Hager's Cosmic cart is in the predominantly blue and white livery. Just behind him, Logan Sargent in an FA cart. Behind Devlin De Francesco, another Tony cart, that's David Beckman of Germany. Well, I always get a little bit anxious on behalf of these lads. Some of them tell me they get very nervous at the start. Some of them say, no, it's just another race. Okay, here we go. And Anton Hager gets the jump from pole position, but Devlin De Francesco was pretty close too. On the inside there, Logan Sargent going in as second place. So Anton Hager leading, Logan Sargent in second place, and I do believe that is, well, let's say I believe, not 100% certain, so let's not say it. Anton Hager certainly there. Logan Sargent got a good move. Devlin De Francesco, who was pretty much equal with Anton Hager on the initial run, but from the outside of the front row, lost a little bit of ground. But Anton Hager already putting a huge amount of distance in relative terms. Sometimes our television pictures foreshorten the reality, but he must be a good 10 lengths clear of the rest of the field at this early stage. Moving down now onto the furthest side of the track from where we sit. You're looking at the home straight at the top of your screen and the awnings at the paddock. There is the grandstand. It's not a packed grandstand. It need about 40,000 people here to be packed. But Anton Hager making this early lead. Good start, as I say, by Logan Sargent, David Beckman. There I think that you saw Artem Petrov briefly as we come to complete the opening lap. Anton Hager, Logan Sargent, the driver I didn't identify was Ulis Depau in third place. Artem Petrov went through fourth, and another Russian, Alexander Vatanyan, was the driver in fifth place. But Anton Hager's lead is already half a second. The only thing that I would say is that Logan Sargent has just done a little bit of a quicker sector, and it does look as if maybe Logan Sargent getting a little bit quicker. Artem Petrov has got a warning flag, and in the passing move over Ulis Depau. I've misread that. It's Ulis Depau who has got a driving standards flag. The 260 kart of Ulis Depau in third position. The move that put Ulis Depau into third position was deemed not within the rules according to the officials, and they have given him at this early stage a driving standards flag. Doesn't want to pick up another one, a little bit like in soccer, getting a yellow card in the first 5 minutes of the race. So we complete the second lap and start lap 3. Anton Hager's lead over Logan Sargent is a little bit less. It was a full half second, now it's 0.445 of a second. There was no change of place in the top 6 drivers on that lap, but Mick Jr. in kart 212 has gone past James Pull for 7th place. James Pull relegated to 8th. Max Futrell went up a place to 9th, and it was Benjamin Lessen who completed the top 10. Well, Anton Hager has got a lead of 0.44 of a second over Logan Sargent, but those two are 1.4 seconds clear of the rest of the field. Ulis Depau in that predominantly blue livery that you see there, the predominantly blue race suit, is in front of Artem Petrov. This is the battle that we're watching. At the bottom of your screen briefly, you saw the 1 and 2 of Hager and Sargent go through, but the really close battle is this one. Here is third place Ulis Depau, fourth place Artem Petrov, fifth place fellow Russian Alexander Vatanyan, and Daniel Ticktum got amongst them there, didn't he? Daniel Ticktum in kart number 6. Mentioned moments ago that Mick Jr. had gained a place. It's consolidating that at 7th, but Max Futrell has lost a place, drops down to 10th. We're on lap 4 of a 9-lap pre-final. You're looking at Anton Hager being closed down a little bit now by Logan Sargent. This is the battle for 1 and 2. The lead was 0.5 on the a couple of laps ago, then it was 0.44. Now it's 0.34. So the message is that Logan Sargent is going a little bit quicker than Anton Hager. Let me have a look how much quicker. Well, it's minimal, 1.3010 as against 13.115. And in fact, as I just look away from the screen and then go to the timing screen, looks as if Anton Hager has perhaps just eased a little bit more of an advantage. Anton Hager drives a Cosmic chassis powered by the LKE engine. They're all on Vega tyres, of course. Logan Sargent in second place is on an FA kart, driving powered by the Vortex motor on the Vega tyres. Then you can see the gap there as we start lap 5, moving round towards the half race distance. Anton Hager, Logan Sargent, about 4 kart lengths between them. Then quite a little gap next. Bigger gap, isn't it? But Ulis Depau, who did pick up that driving oh, the lady has set the fastest lap. Well done to Martia Garcia Lopez, who has set the fastest lap. She's been extremely good in spurts, but hasn't held it totally together. Had a second place in one of the heats. She's running 13th at the moment, but good to see the local lady from Spain getting the fastest lap. Well, I think Anton Hager is just pulling away a little bit from Logan Sargent. The evidence of our eyes on screen suggests so, doesn't it? And when they go round to complete another circuit, there is Ulis Depau in third place. Petrov is in fourth, but Daniel Tickton, who I think I mentioned as getting amongst the Russians, has split the Russians. He went past Alex Vartanyan, so Daniel Tickton running in fifth place there, the group that we watched. The second group emerging now. So third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh there. I'll call you those third, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ulis de Pauw third, Petrov fourth, Tickton fifth, Vartanyan sixth, Mick Jr. seventh. Now Daniel Tickton has set a fastest lap, and Daniel Tickton's on a little bit of a charge because he's got Artem Petrov in his sights, the Russian in cart number 239. But Anton Haga, who we're watching now, was very, very unlucky in the first round in La Conca, Italy. Anton Haga comes to this championship with only 5 championship points, which doesn't sound impressive, but if you were at La Conca, you will know that he drove really well, and in a couple of point scoring races, in a specifically tactical race and then the point scoring final, he didn't have the best of fortune by a long chalk. This is a lot more like what he's capable of, and he's making it happen now. Logan Sargent is well clear of Ulis de Pauw in third place, but not looking as if he's reeling in Anton Haga, because this is the start of lap 7 of 9. The margin between them is now the highest it's been the first two. Anton Haga is 0.7 of a second clear of Logan Sargent in second place. Ulis de Pauw a full second virtually behind Logan Sargent. Then Artem Petrov, Daniel Tickton. Mick Jr. has gone past Alex Vartanyan. Mick Jr. was on a little bit of a charge when we mentioned him. Juan Manuel Correa going up into 8th place. Good drive there by the Indonesian, Presley Mortono in 14th place. Disappointing for Inem Ahmed 18th, and David Beckman in 17th place, who started on the second row. He's going to be bitterly disappointed with that showing. Devlin De Francesco, who went out after the opening couple of laps, he's also lost a massive amount of ground. He was the leader in the championship as we started this race. Well, there's no points lost in this race and no points gained, but he's going to be starting the final way down the bottom of the grid. Hard task for Devlin De Francesco from there. Ulis de Pauw still staying clear of Artem Petrov, but Daniel Tickton looking as if he's about to put a little bit of pressure. You see the the blue and white race suit of Daniel Tickton, and Daniel Tickton looking as if he was trying to just measure up. Is there a pass potential on Artem Petrov? Well, he's not been able to make it just at the moment, and David Beckman down in 16th place says, look, I may be 16th, but I'm setting the fastest lap. That just underlines the disappointment, because 16th place is an 8th row start in the final. If it doesn't increase from there, we're on lap 8 of 9. Hesitate to say that Anton Haga has got control of this race, because anything can happen in karting, even in a lap and a quarter, as it were. But really, Anton Haga's race is his to lose from here, and Logan Sargent not in a position to win it without a mega misfortune on Haga, but a second place ought to be consolidated from here. However, does Daniel Tickton get himself a little bit further forward? And a little bit out of shape there, Petrov, wasn't it? And that was down entirely to the pressure that Daniel Tickton was applying. This is Anton Haga that you're watching once again. Quite distinctive race suit, simply because we don't have that sort of tangerine colour race suit many times. And although we've not got a close race to watch, let's do justice to Anton Haga, because this is the last lap, the 9th lap of 9. And although, as I say, he's not been involved in any close dices, he's led the race from pole position, was given a good chase, sort of 1/3 race distance by Logan Sargent, who got within 0.2 of a second. Anton Haga glances over his right shoulder, sees that Logan Sargent is the chasing driver, but the only chasing driver, and is 0.8 of a second down. In fact, 0.8 of a second down. So into the very late stages of the race. The checkered flag on the right-hand side, and the race is won by Anton Haga. Anton Haga wins it from Logan Sargent second, Ulis de Pauw third, Daniel Tickton a good drive into 4th place, Mick Jr. a good drive into 5th, but Artem Petrov is going to be ever so disappointed to drop to 6th, having been holding 4th place really quite late on, and fellow Russian Alex Vartanyan in 7th place may well feel that he could have done a little bit better than that. Juan Correa, he started in 13th position, so a good drive into 8th place for a row 4 start in the final. And then the drivers with the Singapore connections, James Pull, who drives on a Singaporean licence 9, Max Futrell, who now drives on a British licence, completing the top 10. The disappointments, the bad luck, well, unquestionably, Devlin De Francesco, who started this one on the front row, had a good start early on, but did come back out, I think, just looking 5 laps down of 9. I think he may have tried to continue after the problem, but that has not at this moment in time done any harm to his championships opportunities. But when we come to start the race in the final this afternoon, he's going to be on row 15. Anton Hager's going to be on pole position, so that hasn't done him any favours. David Beckman, as I mentioned in race commentary, going to be bitterly disappointed with being in 14th place. Confirmation then of Hager's victory over Logan Sargent. Mick Jr. good drive into 5th place, the Russians 6th and 7th, and the Singaporean guys 9th and 10th. 1.7 seconds the margin, and outside of the top 10, good drive by Kushmaini in relative terms, because he had to qualify from the last chance race this morning, so to drive up to 20th place for a 10th row start in the final is a good effort by the Indians, so well done to Kushmaini. Marta Garcia Lopez, who came second in one of the heats, she's finished 28th, so that's a disappointment from the lady from Spain. She'll start the final on row 14. And other non-finishers, well, Leonardo Lorandi, a big name from the baby race team, and likewise Lorenzo Travisanuto of Italy would have been both bitterly disappointed for the misfortunes that befell them. Well, there is the Parc Fermé where the drivers have gone to, the post-race scrutineering, the technical checks will be taking place from here, but let me give you a call over once more of that 1, 2 and 3, because it was a victory for Anton Hager of Sweden from Logan Sargent of the United States of America and Ulysse Depot of Belgium. Just outside the top 3, Daniel Ticktum of Great Britain was 4th, Mick Jr. of Germany was 5th. Well, always a little bit of an anticlimax when you have a race championship leader and front row star to go out early on, and all doesn't really look a buzz, does it, that particular part of Parc Fermé. But there's a lot of joy in Anton Hager's camp, driving a Cosmic chassis, kart number 254. He drives for the GRT karting team in Sweden. Second place, Logan Sargent drives for Ricky Flynn Motorsport, a British team, and third place Ulysse Depot in kart number 260 drives for VDK Racing. Well, that was the KF Junior pre-final. We just take a short pause, and it is only a short pause before we go forward to the KF pre-final. Don't go anywhere very far away, will you? Stay with us. We do appreciate you tuning in to us on CIK TV. We are already getting messages that we're being tuned into from several continents, so thank you to all of you for having done so. I know that those of you in different parts of the world are finding this rather early in the morning, to say the least. When we do get to the start of the pre-final, it will be Felice Tieni of Italy on pole position, joined on the front row by Niko Kari of Finland. Well, the KF pre-final, when it comes forward, will be featuring Felice Tieni on pole position, but the championship leader remains Callum Ilott, who won in round 1 at La Conca. Didn't go so well in the heats here yesterday, but has 37 points, which keeps him in front of Lando Norris on 33 points. Lando Norris will start on row 2, and Niko Kari, who starts on the front row alongside Felice Tieni, has 29 points. Tieni has 28 points, which is a 4th place score, puts him in 4th place in the championship standings, and he picked up a maximum 10 points for winning the qualifying heat competition. This year there's a new rule. As well as scoring points in the final, which is 25 down to 1, you get 10 points for winning the qualifying heats. In other words, the best scores aggregated over your 4 heats down to the 10th best scoring 1 point, and this is where Felice Tieni really scored well yesterday. Only beaten in one of his races, but unbeaten in terms of anybody getting any better positions, so he scored his 10 points. Coming up shortly, the pre-final for the KF class itself, scheduled away at 12:25. Well, let me give you a call over of the pre-final grid, because coming up next, a race over 12 laps. This is a 12-lap race in the pre-final for the KFs. Felice Tieni of Italy starts on pole position, joined on the front row by Nico Kari of Finland. Nicholas Nielsen of Denmark went tremendously well in this competition last year, is on row 2 with Lando Norris. Lando Norris, always a potential winner, very small of stature, giant in talent. Then on row 3, Tom Joyner, the world champion. Tom Joyner from Great Britain is in cart 119. He starts on row 3 alongside Karol Dabski. Karol Dabski drove particularly well yesterday, I thought. Would have had an even better score, but for a little bit of contact. I think he was an innocent victim of a little bit of contact late on, but no real harm done. Jahan Daravula is on row 4. Jahan Daravula, a former Asia-Pacific champion from India, now racing on a British licence. Jahan Daravula in cart number 1, 2, 3 races for Ricky Flynn Motorsport, and he's alongside Callum Eilert, the championship leader who drives for Zanardi Straka Racing. So Daravula and Eilert row 4. Alessio Lorandi of Italy and Nikita Mazepin of Russia are row 5. Gabriel Aubry of France is on row 6, and I make emphasis there because he had a disaster in Friday's qualifying practice, and he also had another problem in one of his heats, but he drove from the back row in the other 3 races and got really good positions, so much so that he's starting this pre-final on row 6 in 11th place. A good effort by Gabriel Aubry driving the Tony kart. He will line up alongside Carol Bash. Carol Bash won races in the heats, but also had a real piece of misfortune when he went out on the opening lap on one occasion. There, as we have a look, you see Felice Tieni just to the left of your screen in cart 104. From the Kingdom of Bahrain in the Middle East, the Arabian Gulf, Nick Cristofaro shares row 7 with Igor Stupenkov of Russia. Row 8, Hannes Janker of Germany and Martin van Leeuwen of Netherlands. Martin van Leeuwen having to work hard from the back of the grid because he had a poor qualifying practice session, but he starts the pre-final on row 8. Row 9, Leonardo Pulcini of Italy and Nikita Troitsky of Russia. And the top 20 is completed by Paolo Besancone of France and Pedro Hiltbrand of Spain on row 10. Pedro Hiltbrand of Spain, very, very consistent racer at this level, but is picking this meeting here in Spain to have his most disappointing showing so far, but maybe today things will change. Row 11, Yifan Xia from the People's Republic of China. He's alongside Kevin Rossell of Denmark. Incidentally, Yifan Xia, his mechanic, is Craig Sterling, who I think I mentioned in the previous round. Got the brothers wrong, those Northern Irish brothers, very talented set of brothers, Craig, Carl and Adam, all of them extremely talented, and Yifan Xia being looked after by Craig. Kevin Lavelli is on row 12 with Nicola Gonzalez. Row 13, Moritz Horn and Julia Dara. Row 14, Jan Leon Schlom. He drives a Tony kart for Russia. Juuso Pohaka of Finland joins him on row 14. The very unlucky Marco Maestranzi of Italy is on row 15. He won the last chance race this morning. After having had to go in the last chance race, he won it. Oliver Hodgson of Great Britain joins him on row 15. Aatu Moilanen and Johannes Heinen and all Finland row 16. Takuya Okada of Japan and Linus Lundqvist of Sweden are on row 17. This is a 12-lap race for the KFs, not racing for championship points, but they're racing to determine where they start this afternoon's final. Championship leader, Callum Eilert. Championship second place standing, Lando Norris. Championship third place standing, Nico Kari. But the fourth place in the championship standings is with our pole sitter, Felice Tieni. Confirmation on that bottom line you see there, both Maestranzi and Hodgson, and the four drivers you see there, they qualified from the second chance heat this morning, so they had to do it the hard way. Okay, a 12-lap race coming up. I always get a little bit anxious at the start of these races on behalf of the drivers. Sometimes they're a lot more relaxed than I am. They've got to race the race. All I've got to do is talk about it. On your left is Felice Tieni. On your right is Nico Kari. And it's an aborted start. We are not racing. The start is aborted. The start is aborted. Now, when we have an aborted start, we continue with another formation lap. The aborted start is usually for one of two reasons. Either the formation was not accurate at the designated point on the formation lap, or, more usually the case, the approach speed is deemed too high by our starters, by the officials. We try again. Felice Tieni on pole position, of course, has the responsibility of getting these guys around at a correct speed, and the approach speed being correct is extremely experienced at this level. Felice Tieni, CRG Works driver, cart number 104. So he shouldn't have any difficulty knowing what's needed. Nico Kari perhaps not quite so experienced as Felice Tieni, but certainly a regular front runner, and it's absolutely no stranger to a front row start. Well, I can hear the circuit commentator referring to Pedro Hiltbrand as the local hero from Spain. Let's wish him well, because he's not done as well as he might have done. And we are racing this time, and Felice Tieni does get a good start and moves to widen the angle, and that's Nicholas Nielsen who's gone with him. Nico Kari didn't have any angle. And Nicholas Nielsen getting himself in a little bit of a gamble. He's made the slingshot count in his favour and has really closed up on Felice Tieni, but could have left a bit of a gap that potentially Nico Kari might have jumped through. Lando Norris having got a good start there, and there's the change of lead immediately. So Nicholas Nielsen in that cosmic chassis taking the lead from Felice Tieni at this early stage. The front running four, well, looked as if they might have traded places fourth and third, but that was a little bit of an overdrive potentially, I think, and the front two have pulled away a little bit, with Nicholas Nielsen just glancing over his shoulder. Nicholas Nielsen in cart 103, Felice Tieni in cart 104. As you can see on our screen, there's about 2.5, maybe 3 cart lengths between Nicholas Nielsen and Felice Tieni, and a similar margin between the rest of the chasing pack as we complete the first of our 12 laps. Well, I've made a mistake in that call, in that I was telling you that was the Felice Tieni in second. Yes, it was Felice Tieni. Yes, it was not an error. It is Nicholas Nielsen 1, Felice Tieni 2, as I called it. So that little anxiety has passed. It was Nico Kari who wasn't in third place because he got past, Tom Joyner got past him. That was the passing move that I didn't call for you. So Tom Joyner in third place, Nico Kari in fourth place. Trying to identify the drivers to tell you exactly who you're seeing on screen. That is Nicholas Nielsen to the left. Felice Tieni coming under tremendous pressure by Tom Joyner now, and not far behind them Nico Kari, and that is Tom Oh, and there's a little bit of contact there, and it's gone wrong for Felice Tieni, who's relegated to fourth place. So as I read it now, Nicholas Nielsen 1, Felice Tieni 2, No, excuse me, Tom Joyner 2, Nick Kari 3 and Felicia Tieni 4. Coming round to start lap 3, confirmation of Tom Joyner's second place on our timing screen. And Lando Norris had got into the mix, hadn't he? The little lad sitting so low in the cart. Lando Norris it is in third place, so Felicia Tieni has really slipped into fourth place, but even worse is Nico Kari, who's dropped into sixth place. A lot of passing, as you can see, just away to the left of our screen. Nicholas Nielsen, though, has got a good advantage over Tom Joyner, but Tom Joyner pulling away a little bit from fellow Brit Lando Norris, and Lando Norris under a bit of pressure, hint of pressure, shall we say, as Felicia Tieni tries to fight back. Johan Daravula, originally from India, well, always has been from India, but based now for a British team. I have to say that Johan Daravula always looked a very, very promising driver, and I think I mentioned at the top of the start of the race that he is an Asia Pacific champion. As we come round to complete lap 3 and start lap 4, Nicholas Nielsen's lead over Tom Joyner is 0.889 of a second. Lando Norris still third, Felicia Tieni still fourth. He's the driver you see in the middle of your screen at the moment. Little bit of a gap behind him to Nico Kari, and then Martin van Leeuwen has moved up into sixth place, and Norris has gone second. Lando Norris has gone second. As I was looking at Marine van Leeuwen, Lando Norris has taken Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner looked to have the advantage that was defendable, but Lando Norris does have in his repertoire this ability to find a passing space where a passing space didn't appear to be, and Tom Joyner now has got a dual challenge, which is not let Lando Norris get too far away, and Felicia Tieni, having been second at one point and having started the race on pole position and led from pole, got serious ideas about getting a little bit further forward than fourth place. We're on lap 4 of a 12-lap pre-final for KF class, and that is the conclusion of lap 4, and we start lap 5. Well, confirmation that Nicholas Nielsen's advantage over Lando Norris is 0.959 of a second, as the fastest lap is set by the charging Martin van Leeuwen. He's had to do a lot of his driving yesterday in the heats and this morning from a little bit further back. He started on the 8th row in 16th position, and aided by the fastest lap of the race is now up to 6th place. Nicholas Nielsen, healthy advantage, nearly 9/10 of a second, but of course that advantage was aided by the fact that it was on that lap that Lando Norris put his passing manoeuvre on Tom Joyner. Third place, Tom Joyner. Fourth place, Felicia Tieni, but Felicia Tieni making those threatening suggestions that he might have been looking for a move. Nico Kari a little bit further back in 5th place, Van Leeuwen 6th, Johan Daravula 7th, Mazepin of Russia 8th, Lorandi, that's Alessio Lorandi, there's two brothers, 9th, and Gabriel Aubrey, who I mentioned to you had to start all of his heats yesterday on the back row, is now into the top 10 in the pre-final. So a really good recovery drive by Gabriel Aubrey in kart 127. Gabriel Aubrey driving for the official Tony Kart team. There's a nice view of 103, Nicholas Nielsen driving the Cosmic chassis and racing in the Cosmic race suit, and just increasing his advantage, it would seem, wouldn't it? It was 0.98 of a second at the end of the previous lap. As we come to the half race distance, let's see if he's increased that any. Lando Norris has actually posted a best lap of 61.6, whereas Nicholas Nielsen's thrown in a 61.5. So on the evidence of those numbers, Nicholas Nielsen is not succumbing to a diminution of his lead by Lando Norris. Felicia Tieni is still looking. Tom Joyner has a peep over his shoulder. Felicia Tieni is still there and not far behind him now. Nico Kari has got a lot closer in 5th place. Martin van Leeuwen in 6th. We move into the second half of the race, and another fastest lap by Martin van Leeuwen. So keep your eye out for the driver in 6th place in kart number 121. The driver in his sights at the moment is Nico Kari. Nico Kari is in kart 129, started on the outside of the front row, and Nico Kari, I think, has gained a little by the speed of the Dutchman alongside him. Nice little shot there of Lando Norris in 2nd place. The margin between them, first and second, 0.95 of a second, so there's really not a lot that's happened in that previous lap and a half when I thought that Lando Norris might have been getting a little bit closer. Kari is now fourth. Nico Kari has gone past Martin van Leeuwen. Gone past Felice Tieni. Nico Kari into fourth place, Felice Tieni fifth, Martin van Leeuwen sixth, and also now seriously threatening, would seem. The caption that we showed has actually been overtaken by Nico Kari going into fourth place from Felice Tieni. We're on lap 8. And there's plenty of good racing still left in this, isn't there? And Martin van Leeuwen has moved himself up into fifth place, that at the expense of Tieni. So the driver who started on pole position really has had an unhappy time, as Nicholas Nielsen, with a lead of a full second now, has decided it's a good time to really make a statement. And the statement is, 1, I'm leading, 2, I'm leading by a full second, and 3, I've set the fastest lap in the race. You're coming up to the 2/3 race distance, so it's a good place for Nicholas Nielsen to be. I've said several times this weekend, both in circuit commentary and here on CIK TV, put up a tremendous performance in this European Championship last year, and really there was a lot of misfortune that impacted, whereby he did not win the championship. But hey, that's karting, that's racing, and it was also last year. That was another year. We're in the 2014 championship season. Lando Norris is now quickest at 61.25. He's reduced the lead of Nicholas Nielsen from a full second to 0.95. That's the good news, but the bad news for Lando Norris and his fans is that we're late in the race. We're late in the race in the sense that we're coming up to the 3/4 race distance. Well, Lando Norris looked to have a fair little margin to take back off Tom Joyner early in the race, but very quickly did so and went past him. Disappointment, Pedro Hildebrand to the bottom right of your screen in 15th place. Folks, if you don't know of this driver, let me tell you, he is consistently a front runner in European Championship racing and World Championship racing. We come to the only round that he'll compete in his native Spain, and he picks that one for his most disappointing. Big disappointment for Callum Ilott in 34th place, the winner of round 1 at La Conca, and a very impressive winner too. That's, well, things change in the twinkling of an eye. There's certainly change in the space of a round in the championship to the next round of the championship, as Lando Norris goes faster, as your screen confirms. Best lap for Nicholas Nielsen, 61.229. Lando Norris has had a 61.175, so significantly faster. And had it been a little earlier in the race, we might have been talking in terms of Lando Norris reeling in Nicholas Nielsen. Now, Nicholas Nielsen in shot now. Lando Norris chasing. Tom Joyner comfortably in that 3rd place. Nico Kari 4th. Martin van Leeuwen 5th. Nikita Mazepin 6th. Johan Daravula 7th, Alessio Lorandi 8th, Hannes Janka 9th, and Nikita Troicki in 10th place, as Felice Tieni is going to be a non-finisher. Felice Tieni was going back for a reason, wasn't he? And has fallen off the bottom of my screen. No, I'm quite wrong about that. He's up there in 6th place. He's not fallen as far down as I thought. That was a misread again. Carol Bash is the driver who I was looking at, who was right at the bottom of the screen, and Callum Ilott, well, I mentioned moments ago, bitterly disappointing for him. He's going to have to start on the back row, or the second back row of this race. Well, Nicholas Nielsen has just over a lap remaining to consolidate his position and secure not championship points from this race, but a start from pole position. Lando Norris's body language is that he's still chasing him, isn't it? It doesn't look as if Lando Norris has given up every hope of getting past. Does need the aid of a little bit of misfortune to fall the way of Nicholas Nielsen, I would suggest. Haven't yet completed the 11th lap, so there is the completion. Well, Nicholas Nielsen, you look over your shoulder. The message, Nick, is that Lando Norris is behind you, and he's chasing you, and he's chasing fast, and he is getting closer. But the good news, of course, this is lap 12 of a 12-lap race. See the head inclination there by Nicholas Nielsen, and Nicholas Nielsen's body language to me has really changed. He looks over his shoulder. He's a worried man, isn't he? Nicholas Nielsen knows that he's in the front of this one on the last lap, but he knows that Lando Norris is charging hard, and Nicholas Nielsen, if nothing else, is very much rattled by the presence of Lando Norris. Well, Can Lando Norris prove me wrong when I suggested the gap was too far back? We remember when Nick de Vries won his World Championship on this track, hunted down Jordan Chamberlain right at the very, very end of that KF Championship, World Championship round. It's going to be quite a blanket finish, isn't it? The odds still with Nicholas Nielsen, who ought to win from here, and just has to complete the last 50 yards. Lando Norris looks over his shoulder. Nicholas Nielsen does win it. Lando Norris second, Tom Joyner third, Nico Kari fourth, Felice Tieni fifth. An apology to Felice for suggesting that he'd fallen a lot further down than he had. Fifth place was as far as he fell. In fact, he did fall to sixth, but he got that place back, didn't he, on Martin Van Leeuwen, who finished sixth. Nikita Mazepin of Russia was seventh. Johan Daravula dropped places late in the race and finished eighth. Alessio Larandi finished ninth, and Hannes Janker of Germany completed the top 10 at number 10. The drivers that didn't complete the rest, that didn't complete the full race distance, were Kevin Lovelli of Italy, who went out at the half race distance, and Callum Eilert, who went out at the start and has the bitter disappointment of having to see all of his championship rivals gain better positions than he when we come to race the final this afternoon. Well, that's the highlights that you're seeing now. It's really saw Felice Tieni lose his position from the pole and drop back not as far as at one time I feared on his behalf. There's a position lost, and that was a good little piece of driving there. I think that we saw Nicholas Nielsen in the blue cart going through. We saw Johan Daravula there, but Nicholas Nielsen holding on at this point in front of Lando Norris and Tom Joyner there. They were the highlights at the end of the race. Well, if you look at the top of your screen, you can see those wind turbines just rolling round. It's not too blustery, a little bit windy, but confirmation of what we're here for. Nicholas Nielsen, the winner, over Lando Norris, and the world champion Tom Joyner in third place. Slightly disappointing for Felice Tieni, but he'll start the final on the inside of row 3. That is far from a disaster. You can win long races from the inside of row 3 when you're as good as Felice Tieni. Disappointment for Pedro Hiltbrand in 15th place, but a wonderful drive by Marco Maestranzi into 14th. He went through the second chance race this morning, won that, and has driven from the back 3 rows up into 14th place for a 7th row start. Good effort by him. Also going through the last chance race was Ollie Hodgson, but the PF International karting racer not able to get any better than a 15th row start on that. And don't want to keep saying it, but oh, what a disappointment for the championship leader coming into this event, Callum Eilert. But we have seen drivers from 34th place. I do recall David Foray in a world final having to start last and getting up, I think, to 8th place at Marienburg in 2007. So it can be done. And remember, this is one round of 4, so all is not lost. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do appreciate you having joined us. This is Zuera in the region of Zaragoza in the north of Spain. We're in the province of Aragon. We shall go now into our lunch break. You see the marshals walking away because we're going to have an hour break, and we will come back in good time for the finals. Let me tell you when they're scheduled. They're scheduled. The final for the KF Juniors is scheduled to start at 14:20, but they'll come onto the grid at 14:05, and we will come on air at 1400 hours local time, 2 o'clock. Then 1 hour later, the KF Seniors will start at 15:40, but they'll go on to they'll start at 15:15. They'll go onto the grid at 1500. So do please come back to rejoin us on CIK TV at 2 o'clock. We have the finals coming up, the juniors first and the KF second. Thanks for joining us this morning. Hope you enjoyed the coverage.